Hello and welcome back to Democracy, everybody. Welcome back to Helldivers 2, where today we're going to be going over all the Warbonds once again, and we're going to be ranking them from the worst Warbond to the best Warbond. Now, I don't really like saying worst to best in this case, because I think all the Warbonds do have some value to them. There's always something good in them that you can get. There's not really any Warbond that I can think that it's completely bad, just skip over it. There are certainly ones that I would consider to have less value as opposed to other ones that have a whole lot more value, specifically for new players. If you're not a new player and you've gotten like half the Warbonds, it kind of just becomes pick whichever one you want the most next, because a lot of these are just kind of based off of vibes, so if you like it, go for it. So right now we have 16 premium Warbonds, well, 15 premium Warbonds, 1 legendary Warbond, and the free Warbond. And the free Warbond is actually really good too. The Helldivers Mobilize has the most amount of pages in it, it has the most amount of stuff in it, and generally speaking, you can make a lot of really strong free builds. Also, anybody that's new to Helldivers, that just barely started, or is thinking about getting Helldivers, this requires the super credits, which super credits are a premium currency, but you can find them in games, and you can find them pretty easily. Generally, they come in stacks of 10 or 100. I have a whole video talking about how to farm these, and also a bunch of beginner stuff too, so I would highly recommend you check that one out if you're interested in getting a whole lot more of these. With all of that out of the way, let's start out with my number 16 pick, and the lowest Warbond right now. I would say that goes to Force of Law. Force of Law is an interesting Warbond, and it does have some really cool looking stuff in it. This is pretty much like the Judge Dredd Warbond, and like the armors look really cool in this. There was also a pistol that was added with this Warbond, although it's not in the Warbond, you can just buy it from the Superstore. So first up we have the armor, which has ballistic padding, which is kind of interesting. This one gives you resistance damage towards your chest, and then also explosive damage resistance. This is okay, but it's honestly not really that great. If you want explosive resist, you can get Fortify. Fortify is kind of just better than this because it gives you more explosive resistance. And even though they have kind of buffed the damage from chest wounds now, because previously you could just take the health booster and it negated it entirely, which made it so like 2 parts of this armor were basically worthless. This has gotten a little bit more useful, but generally speaking, so long as you have stims, you can still use this, so that would also make it so like medkit armor would be better in this regard, and so long as you're not completely out of stims at any given point, you don't need this armor. The armor still looks really cool though. I do like the ballistic padded armor. We also have the AR-32 pacifier. This is the AK looking, or one of the AK looking assault rifles. This one is fine as an assault rifle. Honestly, it's not really that crazy. It's got okay damage, it's got medium armor pen, and it has stunning rounds in it, which does seem pretty good. It also holds 40 rounds, but it's not really one of the strongest assault rifles right now. It's okay for like support, and it's okay in multiplayer, but that's kind of the only place that I really see it being really useful. In solo, I don't really care for this one that much. It was kind of better when it was bugged and had better stuns based on the amount of people that you had. I believe that's been fixed so far. We also have stun pods as a booster. Pretty bad booster overall. These can stun enemies whenever anything's dropped near them, whether that be a diver or any equipment. Usually it doesn't really matter all that much, especially if you crash directly on top of something. Stunning it afterwards doesn't matter. It's probably going to be dead or very injured. We have the de-escalator here. This is probably the high point of the Warbond, honestly. This is a grenade launcher that shoots out electricity grenades, and it can arc to multiple things, and it can kill just about everything in the game. It does have kind of a long reload because it doesn't have like a speed loader, so you have to reload each grenade individually. But it's still actually pretty decent. It can take on just about everything. Like, that's probably the major thing that you want from this. Aside from that, we also have the K9 Guard Dog. This is an electricity guard dog. It's actually pretty decent in solo. Multiplayer, it can be kind of problematic because it could cause a decent amount of friendly fire, and that's not really the best. You don't really want to be zapping teammates with this because it can kill them unless they have electricity armor or an armor that has electricity resistance. If they have the actual electricity armor, then this one's not going to do anything. And then we also have the Urchin Grenade in this, which is a very awkward grenade. It's basically just like a stun-locking flashbang that doesn't work as well as the flashbang. So, like, it's a grenade that I used for like the first week that this Warbond came out, and I basically haven't used it since, and I haven't missed it since then. Maybe I used it a little bit more when I was doing like random loadouts, and it was okay, but yeah, not really a high selling point. This Warbond just doesn't have a whole lot in it. If you want the de-escalator, cool, but everything else in this I think you could pass on. Coming in at my number 15 spot, we have the Halo Warbond. This is the only legendary Warbond, so it actually costs more than a regular Warbond. Warbonds will usually cost 1,000. This one costs 1,500. And I think for a new player, this is not worth it. I don't think that you get enough value from this because none of the weapons in this Warbond can be customized. And also you can't even get like super credits from this one like you can with every other Warbond. Every other Warbond has at least 300 super credits in it, so that can help work towards the next Warbond. The Halo Warbond is not like that. So I think it's simply the value is not really worth it, but if you really like the theme of it, go for it because there is some really cool stuff in here. The armor has the Fleet First armor in it, which is interesting, but this one makes it so you make less noise when you're running around. You also get more indication whenever there's point of interest, and you also can't break your legs. Now, breaking your legs is actually pretty useful because that's probably the most annoying thing to have broken in Helldivers. It sucks when your legs get broken, and the armor does look really cool, like especially the Hell Jumper armor right at the very start. Really enjoy that, but maybe not a huge seller there. We also have the Halo Assault Rifle, which is pretty decent. It's not a bad assault rifle, although with the latest Warbond, they kind of just put out something that was better than it. But, I mean, 80 damage with medium armor pen and holding 32 rounds and having a decent rate of fire is pretty good. It also sounds great in a distance. It works pretty well against everything. It's not necessarily insane, and also, interestingly enough, when you go to ADS with this weapon, you can't actually really aim down sights. You just kind of go, you can still see it, but you're kind of closer to the gun. It's strange. It reminds me of, like, the Fallout 3, like, ADSing, where you're not really ADSing, you're just kind of, like, zooming in next to the gun. So you kind of have that. Second page has the submachine gun in it, which is fine. This is pretty much the same as the Killzone SMG, where it has 70 damage, light armor pen, it is suppressed, it is one-handed, so that's pretty cool. It holds 48 rounds and has a high rate of fire. It's pretty nice if you want to take this with like the ballistic shield. Works pretty well against like bugs and squids, can be okay against bots. Not really one of my favorite things, I think it's just fine overall. And then in the last tier, we also get like the Halo shotgun, which is the highest damaging shotgun in the game currently, doing really high damage per shot, and it is very satisfying to use. This is really good on like bugs and squids. It's not very good against bots. Against bots, it's kind of underwhelming. It also can run through ammo pretty quickly, because you only got the 6 shots in this, and I think you get 44 out of it. It's like 50 shells in total, not counting if you're taking like siege ready armor. So kind of depends. I find it fun, but maybe not the best shotgun. And then we also have the silenced pistol here, which is pretty much on par with the starting pistol. This one does do 15 more points of damage than the starting pistol, but it holds 3 less rounds in the magazine. Both have the same amount of magazines, pretty much the same recoil, and pretty much the same rate of fire. Kind of cool if you want to be a little bit stealthy, but not a huge selling point of this Warbond either. Coming in at my number 14 spot, we have Masters of Ceremony. Masters of Ceremony does have some cool stuff, and the armors look really cool in it, but overall, I think it's another one that you could kind of pass on. The armor has the reinforced epitaphs, which is actually pretty good. It's basically like partial siege ready mixed with like partial peak physique, which is pretty good. I do kind of like that combination, and again, the armors do look really cool in this one. We also have the amendment in the first page, which is actually a really good marksman's rifle if you're pretty accurate, because this one has the highest DPS out of any of the marksman's rifles. This one does 200 damage a shot. It only has light armor pen, does hold 20 rounds. This can be a 3-round burst, or it can be semi-auto. Both are pretty good, and it also has a bayonet so you can stab with it, which is nice. Second page has the saber, which is definitely cool, but the saber isn't really anything crazy. It's pretty much the same as like the machete that was just added to the superstore, and you could just buy that one if you want something like this. They have the same attack pattern, same attack speed, same basically everything. It's really good on squid missions in particular against the voteless. Can also be pretty decent against the bugs. Kind of a fun weapon and definitely a cool looking weapon. We also have the One True Flag as a stratagem, which is probably the worst weapon stratagem in the game. Not even really probably, it is the worst weapon stratagem in the game. It has the exact same stats and the exact same everything as the stun lance, but that one's a secondary weapon. This one is a special weapon, so it takes up your special weapon spot. Not really that great, but it is kind of funny to run around waving the flag, so that does account for something. We also have the sample scanner here, which is decent. You have potentially a higher chance of getting more samples, which is really good for new players, and it can be really nice if you already have this Warbond and you want to throw it on because you're playing with newer players. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And then we also have the Pyrotechnic, which is probably one of the bigger selling points of this one. The Pyrotechnic can actually be pretty good. This one's basically a firework. You throw it out, it sprays fire all around it, does pretty good damage per second, especially if you can get it in like a choke point, and it also leaves fire behind it, so there's that. Not too much to say about this one. I think it's just kind of on the lower end. The main selling points here are going to be like the Pyrotechnic and the amendment. I think those are kind of the main things, unless you really like the style of the armor, because that one does look really cool. Coming in at my number 13 spot, we have Chemical Agents. Chemical Agents is another interesting one, because this one does have some really good stuff in it, but it's also got some weird stuff in it. So this one's got the advanced filtration armor in it, which gives you 80% damage resistance towards gas. Right now, there is no enemies that can cause gas. It's only your own allies and yourself that can cause gas. So this is just kind of resistance towards that, which I think is kind of okay. But with how many other armors we have, I think they're kind of better, and even gas itself is not that scary. Most of the time you can get outside of gas, so a lot of the times even when I'm running gas stuff, I don't really find the armor to be that amazing. One of the biggest selling points though comes on the first page with the gas grenade though, because the gas grenade is fantastic. This is probably the best or second best grenade in the game. Like, it's this and thermite that are like right next to one another. This one's definitely the better crowd control option between this and thermite. Thermites are better for single targets. This one's better for crowds. This is also very safe to be using pretty much on yourself or allies. This one does have demo damage, so you can actually close up bug tunnels with it and close up factories with it, which is great. You get quite a few of these, and they do cover a pretty big area. And anything affected by the gas is taking damage over time and also gets confused and starts attacking like each other. It's just a very, very solid grenade. Like, if you're just getting this for the grenade itself, totally understandable, and this one might move up just because of that. Like, I just really want a good crowd control nade. Gas grenade is a very, very strong selling point for this Warbond. Page 2, we also have the sterilizer, basically a poison flamethrower. I find it worse than the flamethrower most of the time. I'd rather just have the flamethrower that actually kills stuff. This one can confuse enemies, and yes, it is kind of fun to have like this and the gas strike and gas grenades and just cover the entire area with gas. But at that point, I don't really find that sterilizer does all that much. So like, it's kind of a weird support weapon. It's always felt weird to me. It's not really something that I enjoy. Page 3 has the stim pistol. Stim pistol is actually pretty good if you want to have a support option, because you can just keep stimming friends with it, which is really good. Heals them for a little bit, not as much as full stims do, but you do get like 6 of these. It has the same reload as the Senator, so you can reload this one dart at a time, or you can reload all 6 with a speed loader once it's completely empty. It does take a second for your person to arm it and fire it each time, but it's a very fun weapon. If you already have a really strong primary weapon that has a ton of ammo, then like the stim pistol's a really fun secondary to be taking. Completely useless in solo though, as you kind of expect. And then we have the guard dog, Dog's Breath. Another pretty big selling point of this one, because the Dog's Breath is really strong on squid and bug missions, not really that great on bot missions overall. This one's a guard dog that just sprays out gas on things, basically has the sterilizer on it. This I think is a whole lot better than taking the sterilizer itself, because at least the guard dog can kind of just attack enemies in the nearby area. It's actually a very solid guard dog. I think one of the best ones, at least on the bug and squid missions. Coming in at my number 12, we have Viper Commandos. Viper Commandos is interesting too, because this one doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it, but it's got some pretty cool things. I was debating whether putting this one above or below chemical agents, because there is cool stuff in each. This one does have the peak physique armor in it, which is arguably one of the coolest looking armors in the game. And it's actually pretty good. This one gives you 100% more melee damage, which is kind of cool for melee builds. But on top of that, it also makes it so every weapon has less drag when moving it, which does make quite a bit of difference between certain weapons. Like the autocannon and the heavy machine gun feel fantastic when wearing this. Same thing goes with like the eruptor, feels fantastic when using this. So like, if you find a weapon that's kind of awkward to be moving, maybe try out the peak physique on them. In page 1, we have the Liberator Carbine. Pretty good assault rifle. This one is very solid. This one has light armor pen, and it's basically just a higher rate of fire Liberator that you start out with. The modifications have certainly helped this one out a lot. You put like a vertical grip on this, you put like the flash hider on it, or compensator, whatever you like on there, and then you put like the drum mag here, and there's a reason why people are calling this the Stalwart, because it's pretty much like the Stalwart machine gun. It's just mini. It's your primary weapon, so does feel really good when you do that. Even without the drum mag, the standard mag feels pretty good on it, and the small mags feel a little bit awkward. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'd rather go with the 45 rounds or the 60 round magazine. I feel like that's a little bit better with this high rate of fire. In page 2, we have the Bushwhacker shotgun. Honestly, I think kind of an underrated shotgun by the community. It's not a bad secondary at all. It's a triple barrel shotgun that does as much damage as the Punisher shotgun. So this can one-shot basically any small enemy. It can also one-shot most medium enemies at kind of close-ish range. It's got a really good spread for a sawed-off shotgun. Like, this can one-shot stalkers if you hit them in the head. So that's really cool. You do get 3 shots, or you can set it to the volley fire, where it'll fire out all 3 barrels at once. Can be kind of devastating towards certain enemies, but you are going to have to be reloading this thing pretty often. So maybe not the biggest selling point, but still kind of a cool little shotgun. Page 3, we have the throwing knife. Probably the worst throwable in the game. It's bad. You get a bunch of them, and they're fun to use, but that's about it. You can't like recover them, and they don't have like heavy armor pen or anything. So they're really awkward to be using outside of close range, and in close range they're also very awkward, because I'd rather just be using like my sawed-off shotgun in this case. And then one of the biggest selling points of this is the booster, which is the experimental infusion. One of the best boosters in the game. This makes it so your stims give you more health. They also give you a temporary movement speed buff and damage reduction. However, they also make it so you have more spread. And it also kind of makes your screen more vibrant, which on certain planets is actually kind of a downside. It makes it more difficult to see stuff. Overall, Experimental Infusion is really cool, though. I do really like this booster. Coming in at my number 11 spot, we have Freedom's Flame. Freedom's Flame is the Fire Warbond, and this one's really going to depend on how much you like fire weapons and armor. So pretty much all the armors here have Inflammable, which is just a fire resistance, but that's not necessarily unique to this Warbond, so that's not a huge selling point for this. We also have the Cookout in Tier 1, which is a really good shotgun, probably top tier against bugs. It's also pretty good against squids. This one's the Punisher, but it fires out Dragon's Breath, has a little bit less damage, but still has the knockback on it, has damage over time, reload it 1 round at a time. Probably one of the biggest selling points of this Warbond because it is pretty solid. In the second page, we have the Torture, which is also pretty good. It's kind of underrated, I think, where this one is the primary flamethrower, and it did get buffed a patch or two ago. I think it was like 2 patches ago, actually, where this one does have longer sustained fire than it used to, and fire weapons like this do kind of have anti-armor abilities to them. It's really good if you want to take it with Inflammable and you just want to build more for like a full fire setup. Although if you are taking the flamethrower as like the special weapon, I find it kind of awkward then, because it's like, why am I taking the full-size flamethrower and like the primary weapon flamethrower? I feel like that's not necessary. I'd rather just go with like the Cookout in that regard and then just keep the flamethrower as my special weapon. So it's kind of weird. It also doesn't have any customization at the moment. It's just skins, which is kind of a downside. Not that the Cookout has any great like modifications for it either. It's just sights on it, which is whatever. I barely use the sights. In page 3, we also have the Firebomb Hell Pods, which are pretty much just a detriment towards yourself and your team. You're probably just going to be more likely to kill yourself with these or kill teammates with them than you are to actually get any sort of value against the enemies. I think this is one of the worst boosters in the game. And then we also have the Crisper in page 3, which is actually a really solid secondary. This one's a little handheld flamethrower, does really high damage, doesn't have a huge capacity as you'd kind of expect, but it can melt through just about anything. Like, it's not way great against bots, unless you're just hiding around a corner and torching them as they come around, but against like bugs and squids, it's really, really good. So like, yeah, this Warbond can be pretty good, especially if you like the fire theme, especially if you like all the crowd control that it brings you. Coming in at my number 10 spot, we have Borderline Justice. This is the Cowboy Warbond, which this one is cool. I really like the theme of this one, and it has some really cool stuff in it. Not necessarily one of the best Warbonds in my opinion, though. This one has the Gunslinger armor, which is a cool armor. I don't really have too much to say about this. This just makes it so your secondary is always better. You have faster reload speed, faster draw and holster speed, and then less recoil when shooting. Pairs really well with quite a few of the secondary weapons, so it also looks cool. So there's that. We also have the Deadeye. This is the lever action rifle. Very solid rifle, like really, really good. This one has really high damage, medium armor pen, holds 8 rounds. It is 1 round at a time that you have to reload it. Sadly, we haven't got like a tube speed loader or something for the lever action. That would actually make it kind of crazy. But this one's really solid, really good against squids, really good against bots, not the greatest against bugs. Bugs tend to swarm you, and this one can put them down very quickly, but it's just like that single round reload can really slow it down. One-shotting basically any of the medium bots and the squids feels fantastic with this. Just aim for the head and you can take them right off. It doesn't have a whole lot of modifications to it, and honestly, the starting scope might be my favorite for it, but if you want to throw like iron sights or the 10x scope on there, you absolutely can. Page 2 has the Talon Revolver, laser gun, whatever the heck you want to call it, and this one's a very, very good secondary. This one might be one of the best secondaries in the game at the moment. Does do good damage per shot, pretty fast rate of fire, although you do have to worry about overheating this. You can get off about 7 shots in rapid succession before it overheats. Otherwise, it can take quite a few more shots if you're shooting a bit slower. Has good iron sights. Medium armor pen on it is really good too. This one pairs really well with like the ballistic shield, and it's especially strong against bots in that role if you want to do that, but it's really strong against basically everything. It makes a nice addition to pretty much any loadout. Then in page 3, we got the Hover Pack. Very fun backpack to be using, especially with the flamethrower. You jump up, you burn stuff. Not great against the bots because they'll probably just shoot you out of the air. Pretty good against squids and bugs though. We also have the Sample Extricator. Good if you just need to get more samples for your team. Kind of useful if you have a major order that requires a lot of samples, or if you're playing with less experienced teammates that just need more samples overall. This one is pretty nice. And then we also have the Dynamite. Pretty fun, explosive. Not necessarily one of the strongest explosives, but still pretty good. You can set the timer on this thing, does really high damage, has medium armor pen on it as well, so it's actually pretty good for knocking stuff out. Just a little bit awkward because of like the 5-second fuse time. Takes a little bit longer to go off than some of the other explosives. You could also set it to like the 30 or the 60-second timer. Not really worth it in that regard. If you could like place it onto something, maybe it would be worth a little bit more. Like make it so you could stack up a couple of these and have heavy armor pen or something like that, or anti-tank with the Dynamite. I think that would be cool, but overall it's just like kind of a fun explosive to be using. Coming in at my number 9 spot, we have Control Group. Control Group is kind of an interesting one because there are some really standout things in it, and then there's like some just kind of okay stuff in it. So this one I would highly recommend if you are playing solo though, because the Warp Pack alone is definitely worth it. So in this one we get the Adreno Defibrillator, which is not way great. It's an okay armor. It seems more of like a kind of a new player trap though, where it sounds really good. Like you die once, you pick yourself back up, you can limp your way over to an objective or something. Sadly, you have to be limping. This basically counts as both your legs being broken when you do, and you do bleed out rapidly upon this. The best case scenario I found for this one is basically just arming the Hellbomb backpack and limping it to wherever it needs to go and then blowing it up. Outside of that, I found that the armor is kind of it's sort of okay. There was a bug, and I think it might still be a bug that's going on currently. If you jump inside of a mech after you resurrect yourself, you do get to stay alive the entire time that you're inside the mech. Also in page 1, we have the Variable. Variable is a really good weapon right now. I think it's arguably one of the best weapons in Helldivers, which is pretty cool. This one is the Volley Gun. It can be a machine gun, it can be a shotgun, or it can be a fire everything out of it and potentially kill big stuff, or potentially fling yourself, which is kind of cool. It probably has one of the highest skill ceilings out of any of the weapons in Helldivers because it's just so versatile about all the things that it can do. And as like an assault rifle, it's pretty solid. Like 85 damage, light armor pen, and holding about 50 rounds in it is good. Same thing goes if you want to turn into a shotgun. Does more damage than some of the other shotguns, still has light armor pen, doesn't have the knockback that some shotguns like the Punisher have, but still it's pretty good. And then setting it to just blast out everything can be super devastating towards certain enemies. Like you can pop a Titan's stomach with this, one-shot a Hulk with this, or I think you can one-shot a tank with this too if you hit everything in the back. But you are probably going to fling yourself backwards unless you're laying down, or unless you already emptied out at least half of the magazine. If you empty out half the magazine and then switch it to the all volley fire, then it won't knock you down, so that's kind of cool. Very, very fun weapon. It was actually the very first weapon that I maxed out to 25. I hadn't really done that with any other weapon. Most of the other weapons I usually get up to like 20 or to 18 or so, and then I've got like everything I want for them, and at that point I just start switching over to like a different weapon. But the Variable I maxed out, and then I changed absolutely nothing about it because I love the way that it worked with the vanilla everything. There's also the Epoch here. Not necessarily a huge selling point in my opinion. It is better than what it used to be because it used to just like shoot randomly. This is a plasma cannon pretty much that you charge up and then fire. If you overcharge it, then it will explode and you will die unless you're potentially wearing like Democracy Protects armor. Well, it's also just kind of awkward where it's like I have to charge it up and fire it and it holds 3 rounds and I gotta reload it. Not really one of my favorite support weapons. Page 2 has the Laser Sentry. Honestly, a pretty decent sentry. It's nothing way crazy. I compare it pretty much to like the Gatling or the machine gun sentry, where it's good at fighting just about everything. It can overheat, but most of the time you don't really have to worry about that, and it has decent range. It doesn't have like unlimited range, but it has decent range. So if you want like a laser sentry, go for it. It's not really like a huge selling point to me, but it's all right. Not a huge selling point to me either is the grenade. The arc grenade is just kind of okay. You throw it out, it zaps, it bounces somewhere, it zaps again. Can kind of stun enemies, does okay damage. It's kind of okay for crowd control, and it's kind of okay for dealing with big enemies, but kind of just holding them in place while you shoot them with something bigger. Not really one of my favorites. If we got more of these, then I think they would actually be pretty good. Then we have the Warp Pack, probably the biggest selling point of this Warbond, besides maybe the Variable. This one is really, really good. This one makes it so you can teleport a short distance, and this makes it so you can teleport inside of bunkers solo, which is really good. It's also really good if you like heavy armor, which I absolutely do, because this one just gives you way more mobility. You want to be sure to check which this one is set to, though, or at least what the color of the orb is. If it's purple, that means it's fine to use as a jump, so you can jump anywhere that you'd like in any direction depending on which direction you're already moving. You can use it multiple times in quick succession, but if you do that, you're going to injure yourself or kill yourself. If you do it too much, you will die. If you do it a couple more times, usually it results in a broken limb or catching on fire. Neither of those is really good, so you don't want to be spamming this out in quick succession. But Warp Pack is really, really good. This one was kind of surprising to me because when I went through it, I was like, yeah, the main things I'm looking forward to here are like the Variable and the Warp Pack, and everything else I could kind of just take it or leave it. It's sort of whatever. So that's why this Warbond scored a little bit lower. But I mean, like the Warp Pack, like this one does have high highs, but it also has kind of like average lows, I guess. Coming in at my number 8 spot, we have Truth Enforcers, which does have some really cool looking armors, and the armors have gotten better. This has the unflinching armor in it, which is actually decent now. It used to be probably the worst armor passive in the game, but it's actually okay. It's basically like half of extra padded, which is a really good armor bonus. And then it also makes it so you have less chance to flinch when you get hit, and that has been buffed since this first came out. As well as you also get partial scout with this so you can ping things. Not actually a terrible armor anymore if you want to be running it. And like the white armor looks really cool. The red armor is like way too red for me. There's too much going on there, but the white armor is really cool. Booster, we get Dead Sprint in this, which is a pretty fun booster. It's nothing way crazy. It basically makes it so once you're out of stamina, then you can exchange your health for more stamina. Kinda cool there. You can keep running with this. Not really as good as like the stamina booster or like muscle enhancement or both those in combination. And you can also always just pop your stims that give you all your stamina back anyway. So Dead Sprint is kind of whatever. It's not necessarily the worst, but it's not necessarily the best either. Page 1, we've got the SG-20 Halt. This one's a really good shotgun. This one is definitely a selling point of this Warbond. This one fires either flechettes or flashbangs, and it has 2 different tubes that you can swap between. So you actually just hold 8 shots, but you hold 8 shots of each rather than like the Punisher where you hold 8 and 8, but it's 16 in total because it's the same ammo. This one's interesting. Does good damage, has medium armor pen on the flechette rounds and really long range, and the flashbangs do hold things in place. Like you can flashbang a charger, then walk to the side of it, then switch over to the flechettes and just empty that into it and kill it really quickly. You can flashbang like stalkers, which makes it really easy to pick them off. It is kind of one of those weapons that does have somewhat of a high skill ceiling overall, just swapping back and forth between the fire modes. It's not nearly as difficult as like the variable, where you have like multiple rates of fire, multiple fire modes, and different ways that you want to use them. This one is basically, I want flashbangs for crowd control and somewhat range, and then I want flechettes for just taking out normal stuff. So, pretty good shotgun overall. It doesn't really have a crazy amount of modifications. It's basically just sights on it, which is sort of whatever. We have the Reprimand in page 2, which I think is one of the best submachine guns in the game. It basically functions more like an assault rifle though, where this one does the highest amount of damage out of any of the assault rifles or submachine guns per shot. It only holds 25 rounds, that is the downside of this. You don't get a whole lot of shots with it, and it doesn't shoot super fast, but it does have medium armor pen, so you can kind of bully just about everything with this. Like I find this really good against like bugs and against bots. It's okay against squids overall. And then page 3, we have the Loyalist Pistol, which is actually a really solid secondary weapon. This one has good damage on it. It holds an okay amount of shots. It does have a high rate of fire if you want to spam it, but you can also charge this up and then fire it, similar to the Purifier. And then it has a big AoE splash damage that it's actually really good. It does a lot of damage towards crowds. As long as you got the distance where you can keep charging this one up, I think it's a very, very solid secondary option. Coming in at my number 7 spot, we have Cutting Edge. This was actually the second Warbond that was ever added to Helldivers, and it's pretty solid. This one is an energy weapon one. We have a booster of Localized Confusion, which is kind of an okay booster. It's not really that crazy. The bonuses that it does give are pretty minor, even though it sounds like it could give you a lot, but actually making use of it is really difficult. The electricity armor is also in this one, which gives you 95% arc resistance. Kind of cool if you're running a full electricity build or you really like taking the Tesla Tower, but that's about it because most enemies can't use electricity. The only one that's really a danger is like the Harvester that the squids have. All the other electricity, and I guess the squids' arc towers themselves too. So like those are kind of scary, but against everything else, like the arc damage doesn't really do all that much, and it's not really one of my favorite armors. They do look kind of cool though. Then in page 1, we also have the Sickle. This one's solid. Sickle has always been a good assault rifle, pretty much, where this one has kind of low damage, but a good rate of fire, and basically has infinite ammo. It also takes a really long time for this to overheat, and it has almost like no recoil. You can just hold this on target. So this one is really good. Sadly, it didn't get a whole lot of changes with like the weapon upgrade system. Maybe we'll get more in the future, but right now it's just sights. Even so, Sickle is still a very solid assault rifle. Page 2, we have the flashbangs. Flashbangs are really solid. Flashbangs are super nice. You get quite a few of these. You can throw them out. They don't do any damage to you or to teammates, but they do stun enemies, which is fantastic. It makes it really easy to take out certain enemies, and it makes it so certain enemy types are less dangerous, like Hulks and Chargers in particular. I find really good for throwing flashbangs at. Can also be really good for the flesh mobs that the squids have. Anything big like that that you can just stun and then get away from. Like the flashbangs are really nice. You don't have to worry about throwing these too close to teammates either. And then we have the Plasma Punisher also in page 2. Basically like the Punisher, but if it was a plasma grenade launcher sort of weapon. This one does do pretty good damage, has medium armor pen, has explosive damage on it. I find it really good against bots. It can be pretty good against squids and bugs though too. Like it's solid, it's gonna take time to get used to because it's kind of a weird weapon. It also doesn't reload one round at a time, it reloads the entire magazine, So be careful with that if you're used to using like the Punisher and just topping it off whenever. You don't really want to do it with this one. Page 3 has the Blitzer, a lot of people's favorite weapon. I find it kind of awkward. I'm not a huge fan of the Blitzer myself, but it can be pretty good. The upgrades that it gets are bad because it's only sights, and I don't know of anybody that's really using the sights on the Blitzer. Like, who cares what sights it has? It's a close range weapon that throws out lightning that can bounce to multiple enemies. Does have medium armor pen on it, does have high stunning ability. It's basically like a pump action sort of electric shotgun. Doesn't really work like a shotgun, it just throws out electricity to enemies. Does have infinite ammo though, which is kind of cool, but a lot of the time I just find that I like some of the other shotguns better than like the Blitzer. I find that they kill things a bit faster. Blitzer's not bad though. And then the last weapon we have is the Las Dagger. This one is pretty much the Scythe. That's the full-sized laser weapon, but this one is just in a pistol. Pretty good. This one has light armor pen. It's extremely accurate, has no recoil to it, can burn enemies, and it's also really good on bot missions in particular whenever there's mines sitting around, because you can just use this to kind of zap them, blow them up, and that's kind of cool. It's a pretty decent secondary overall. Used to be bugged too. Actually, all the laser weapons were kind of bugged at one point, to where you could have infinite ammo with them, which made particularly this weapon and like the sickle kind of crazy. Coming in on my number 6 spot, we have Servants of Freedom. Servants of Freedom is a very interesting warbond because it again doesn't have very much stuff, but it has some pretty good stuff. So this one has the integrated explosives armor, which did get buffed a while back, which is cool. This basically makes it so when you die, you explode. Kind of funny. It can actually be sort of useful now in the underground caves because you can fling yourself into like the Titan tunnels, blow yourself up, and that can close it. That is one way to do it if you would like. Although if you have this one, you also have the ultimatum and that can do it. This also gives you more throwables like the engineering kit, which is cool. It did get better. It's still not an armor that I use very often, but it is kind of funny. We also have the double-edged sickle in the page 1. This one's really good. This one's pretty much the same as the regular sickle, but it can keep overheating and getting more damage and more armor breaking. So this one can have light armor pen, or it starts out at light armor pen. If it heats up so much, then it gets medium armor pen and does more damage. And then if it's fully heated up, then it can do heavy armor pen and it does the most amount of damage. Downside of this though is that once it gets to the high heat, then it lights you on fire. So you're going to want to take fireproof armor and like the health booster for this so that it ticks down the fire slower so you're not burning yourself to death. Now also you can't really overheat this one. Once it's overheated, then it's just doing more damage. You can still reload it at any point to cool it down, which is kind of nice. But this one's really strong if you want to take like heavy fireproof armor and basically just use it as like an LMG. It's really good for that, especially if you have a teammate with a stim pistol that can keep healing you. Like, then the double-edged sickle is really, really good. Page 2 has the ultimatum, which is arguably one of the best secondaries in the game, at least for very specific roles. It's not really the best overall, like as a secondary weapon, like if you had to pick one to do everything, this one is terrible for that. It is very specialized. It does do the most amount of damage out of any of the secondary weapons, and it can destroy an awful lot. Like, this can knock out the Titan holes, this can knock out bug tunnels, this can one-shot things like Titans, it can one-shot things like Chargers, which is really cool. It can also one-shot Hulks. Can't one-shot like a Factory Strider, but it can certainly hurt it, and it can also even hurt like the big, the Hive Lord now that we're fighting. So like, ultimatum is really good in that regard, but you do only get like one shot with this, or one shot plus one extra. And like, there's no way of getting around that. The most you can have is 2 shots with this. So, like, it's a very specialized weapon, but it can be a really good secondary weapon. Page 3, we have, like, the Seeker Grenade. Not necessarily one of my favorite grenades. You throw it out, and then it just finds enemies. It used to be bugged to where it would give you, like, extra kills, which was strange, because it counted towards extra kills, but it didn't actually kill those things. I think that's been fixed. Kind of a cool little grenade, but it can be annoying when you throw it and it goes around the enemy and then comes back around and explodes and ends up killing you. So, not a huge selling point there. And then we also have the portable Hellbomb backpack. Probably one of the best backpacks in the game. This one is like the only backpack that you might want to take with another backpack, because this one is expendable. It's pretty much the same as like the expendable anti-tank rounds, or like the Commando, or the new napalm rounds. Like, it's pretty much just for that. You arm it, it has the same damage, the same explosion radius, the same everything as a Hellbomb, so it can knock out basically anything. The only thing that the Hellbomb cannot kill right now is the Hive Lord itself. The Hive Lord does take multiple Hellbombs to kill, but everything else, buildings, the Factory Strider, swarms of enemies, the Hellbomb can kill them. You can also completely knock out like jamming towers with this on the bot mission, so it is very good. Not a whole lot in this Warbonds, but some pretty decent stuff overall. Now we move on to the top 5. Coming in on my number 5 spot, we have Steeled Veterans. This was the very first Warbond that was added, and it's been pretty solid. So the Steel Veterans comes with the servo-assisted armor, although servo-assisted is in other ways too, so this isn't really special to this Warbond. Servo-assisted is better throwing range, which is cool, and it also gives you more limb health. Pretty solid armor overall, nothing way crazy, but pretty decent. In page 1, we have the Liberator Concussive. In my opinion, not a huge selling point of this one. This is probably my least favorite Liberator. Basically a stunning Liberator or knockback Liberator kind of that does okay damage. It does already have a drum mag on it, but it has the lowest rate of fire. I find it just really awkward overall. I like the other assault rifles better. I even like the AK that we had at the very start of this video a bit better than this one. But we do have the Senator in page 1 too, and the Senator is really good. This one is a very cool secondary. This is the big iron, does really high damage, has heavy armor pen, holds 6 shots. You reload these shots one at a time unless you've emptied out the entire cylinder. Then you do a speed load and you get all 6 back, which is really cool. Very, very solid secondary. The only thing I don't really like about this one is the iron sights. Not really my favorite, or they're not even really iron sights. But the sights on it, I wish you could kind of change out. If I could do that, then this one would be like, I would probably take it on every single mission, and you'd have a hard time prying it away from me for like any of the other secondaries, because I love it. Page 2, we have the Incendiary Grenade. Pretty decent crowd control grenade, honestly. Does good damage, leaves fire behind. It pretty much works like a Molotov does in other games. So if you, and it can still close up bug tunnels, which is great. If you want to have more crowd control than maybe something like the frag grenades from the basic Warbond, this one could work. And then we also have the Incendiary Breaker, which is a pretty solid shotgun right now. It used to be arguably like one of the best primary weapons in the game, specifically against bugs and squids. Still really good though, still holds a lot of rounds, has Dragon's Breath, doesn't necessarily do the most damage, but you're just more covering the area in fire and then dealing damage over time. That's where this excels at. But ever since we got more like options to throw on this weapon, I do find it pretty useful still. So like Incendiary Breaker is a big selling point of this. Then in page 3 we have Flexible Reinforcement Budget, a really bad booster overall. This makes it so reinforcements come up a little bit faster. You'd probably be better off taking any of the other boosters over that one, because you have to run completely out of like reinforcements and then you can get more, and it's not really worth it. You do have the Jar Dominator though here in page 3, which is really good. This is a very solid rifle. This one is basically the bolter gun from like 40k, at least it feels like that. This one does good damage per shot, actually really good damage per shot, has medium armor pen, semi-auto, you can shoot it fairly fast, holds a decent amount of rounds in it, and it is a full magazine reload. It's very similar to the Slugger shotgun that's in the basic Warbond, except for this one's semi-auto rather than pump action. So kind of pros and cons to each of those, but they're both really good. They're really good on like bot missions and on bug missions. I found they're okay on squid missions. Most of the time you don't necessarily need this on squid missions, but you can still like take out quite a few things. Like it's still really good on overseers. Coming in number 4, we've got Urban Legends. Urban Legends is another pretty good Warbond. The armor in here is a huge selling point because Siege Ready is fantastic. And this makes it so your reload speed is increased with primary weapons by 30%, and it also gives you more ammo to all of your weapons by 20%. This includes primary, secondary, and support weapons. This is really good with like the support weapons. Like it's really nice with the machine guns. I love this with the heavy machine gun. It's just a very solid armor passive that's pretty much never going to be bad. So that's really good. It also comes in like light and heavy armors that are already in this, which is good. We also have the Directional Shield here, which is okay. Directional Shield is very similar to like the Ballistic Shield, although it is breakable, unlike the Ballistic Shield. Well, Ballistic Shield is breakable too, but it takes a lot more to break it. This one can break fairly quick, but it does come up pretty often, and you can use it in conjunction with like a secondary weapon like a pistol to shoot, as well as teammates can kind of use it to fire from behind, so that's cool. We also have the Stun Lance here, probably the best melee weapon in the game still. Like it kind of has been since it came out, since this one has pretty long reach, it does pretty good damage, and it also has a stunning ability on it. Like pretty much everything that you would kind of want on a melee weapon. Maybe not as good against crowds as like the sword was that we talked about, because like the voteless crowds, you can just hack through them with the sword, as opposed to this where you're just more like picking off enemies one at a time with the spear. It's still pretty good though, and you can do kind of a Spartan build with the spear and shield. Now we have the Armed Resupply Bot booster, which is honestly a pretty decent booster. It's kind of fun. Anytime you call down a resupply, it's got a little machine gun on it that can shoot stuff. Basically you get like a 5th turret. So if you like turrets, awesome. Really good on defense missions. Then we have the Flame Sentry, one of the best sentries in the game in my opinion, especially for crowds. It's really good on bug and squid missions, not really that great on bot missions. Bots will just shoot it at a distance and they'll ignore it. Unless you put it around a corner, in which case then it can torch them too. But basically just a stronger, longer range flamethrower, so that's nice. And then in page 3 we have the Anti-Tank Emplacement, aka the Grandpa Chair, or the Gaming Chair I've heard it called too. This one's fantastic. It's one of the best defensive stratagems in the game, in my opinion. If you put this in a location where enemies can't easily take it out, you can do a lot of damage with it. And on defensive missions, this thing becomes like a point-and-click adventure at that point, where it's just, as soon as things show up, just shoot it with anti-tank emplacement until it's dead. This kills pretty much everything. Coming in at number 3, we have Polar Patriots, a very cool Warbond that's kind of just gotten better over time thanks to like the various upgrades that it's gotten. So this one doesn't really have any particular armors in it at all, where it has like Fortified, Servo Assisted, and Scout in all 3 tiers, which are all armors that you can get from other places, but the armors do look cool, so that's kind of nice. There is also the Motivational Shocks Booster, which is basically just a worse version of the Muscle Enhancement. You can stack them together, and that's kind of cool, but it has pretty limited use, especially when the Muscle Enhancement does exist, so not a huge selling point there. The weapons are going to be the bigger selling point in this Warbond, where we do have the Tenderizer Assault Rifle in page 1, which is very solid. It does the most amount of damage out of any of the assault rifles, holds a decent amount of shots, has little recoil, and you can also swap the fire modes on this, although it does only have light armor pen. Still a pretty good assault rifle. I really like it for bugs and squids. I think it's really good there, and it's okay for bots. In page 2, we have the Pummeler submachine gun. Actually pretty decent now, too, if you want a crowd control option, especially if you want to take it with, like, the ballistic shield. Does okay damage, has an okay capacity. It's very similar to the starting submachine gun. It's just this one can also kind of bully enemies around, which is kind of nice, especially if you want to use it, like, when you're always next to teammates, so that's kind of good. We also have the Incendiary Impacts, pretty much the same as the Impact Grenade, but they leave behind fire. That's good too. It's kind of nice against certain enemy types. Doesn't do as much damage on the direct impact, but does do more damage over time. The bigger selling points, I would say, are in page 3, where we have the Purifier, arguably one of the best primary weapons in the game. It is very solid against everything, like medium armor pen, plus explosive damage, and you can charge this up. This weapon used to be like probably the worst weapon they ever added to Helldivers when it first came out, but they've buffed it significantly since then, and now it's like one of the best. Where this one has good damage, it has a good capacity. It's very similar to the Scorcher, but it's semi-auto. But you can also charge this up and do really high damage, and it also has splash damage on those charge shots. Like, the charge shots can kill a lot of stuff surprisingly easy. Like, you can bully bots with this, you can bully squids with this, you can bully bugs with this, you can shoot like gunships out of the air with this, and I think 2 shots if you hit the engines on them, which is kind of funny. Like, it's actually really good as a general purpose battle rifle, and then also pretty good as like an improvised explosive sniper rifle. Then we also have the P113 Verdict, the Deagle. Deagle is just a very solid secondary, and it kind of has been ever since it came out. You get a lot of mags with this, holds a decent amount of rounds, does good damage, has medium armor pen. It's basically just everything that you would kind of want in a general purpose pistol. Like, it's just very good. Coming in at number 2, we actually have the newest Warbond that just came out, which is Dust Devils. So the armor itself is actually really good. The Desert Stormer is decent. This one gives you 40% damage resistance towards fire, gas, acid, and electrical damage, which is pretty much the same as Acclimated that we got from the Killzone collab, although that one was 50%, so it's slightly worse than that. But then this one also gives you 20% increased throwing range, so it's nearly as good as Servo Assisted, which is also a good armor. So, like, these two combined actually make it into a pretty good armor that's generally good against everything. On top of that, we also get the AR-2 Coyote. This is the new AK, and this one is the best assault rifle in the game at the moment. It has good damage per shot, really good damage per second, holds 45 rounds in it, has very little recoil, has really nice iron sights too, so you don't even need to throw a sight on this if you don't want one. It has incendiary ammo in it, which is a big deal because that's damage over time, and it makes it so one shot from this can kill basically any small enemy from just the fire ticking down on them. And even if you miss the shot, there's a chance you can light things on fire, or if it hits near them, it kind of splashes fire, or at least it can. So, like, sometimes you get more value from this AK than you would with, like, other assault rifles. It also has medium armor pen on it, so it's not even bad against, like, bots or anything. You can bully bots with this. You can bully everything with it. Like, this is the best assault rifle in the game, in my opinion. It is very, very good. On page 2, we have, like, the Harpoon Gun. Spear Gun is really cool. This one does really high damage. It actually has anti-tank armor on it. Can one-shot hulks, can pierce enemies, can stun just about anything it hits. Like, Titans get kind of staggered from this. Chargers get staggered from this, and they stop charging. It also has very long range, and the spear moves really fast. On top of that, though, it also has poison gas on it, so it has crowd control too. The only kind of downside to the spear gun is that you don't get tons of shots with it. You get 12 plus 1 in total, unless you're wearing Siege Ready, and then you get 15 plus 1. If you want to take like the supply backpack though, that's not a big deal, and you can just cut off entire areas thanks to the spear gun. Like, the gas is really strong from it, and it's very satisfying to use this at long range to just pick off stuff. We also have the expendable napalm rounds in here, similar to the EATs that you can already get. These ones have a longer cooldown time, but these ones fire out fire rounds that then also have like cluster bombs that are more fire. These count as fragmentation. These can one-shot dragons, interestingly enough. They're not consistent at doing it, but they can do it. That was actually my first experience with one of these, was call it down and immediately shoot a dragon out of the air with it. Really good for the crowd control, gives you a lot of options, gives you more fire, which is fantastic. The only thing you have to kind of worry about is lighting yourself on fire. And honestly, this isn't bad to like rain down fire in an area too, because the coverage is actually pretty good for these. Then in page 3, we also have the solo silo. Really fun weapon to be using. Kind of annoying how quickly it breaks. You want to throw this into a safe place and potentially use it as quick as possible. You also want to move away from the solo silo when you're shooting it, because otherwise it can knock you down and then you don't get to aim with it accurately. This one comes with its own targeting pistol pretty much, where you just hold a laser onto something until that missile actually hits it. And this does a ton of damage. It blows up a lot of stuff. It doesn't have the most demo force though, so you can't knock out certain things. Like you can't knock out jammers, and you can't knock out like detection towers with it. Be really cool if it did, and I don't see why not. This seems to be firing basically the same thing as like the Hell Bomb, so I mean, it might make it a little bit too good at that point. Still a really good stratagem though. I do like it. And then the last thing we have here is the pineapple grenade. Probably one of the worst grenades in the game, honestly. It's not really that great. It's a cluster bomb grenade that has light armor pen. If it had medium armor pen, this could be a whole lot better. The damage from it's okay, and it's good for like sort of crowd control. But why am I going to take this when there's like gas grenades or incendiary grenades that are just better? Like, there's no real reason to take the pineapple grenade. On top of that, we only get 3 of them. If you got like 5 of these, I could see them being a little bit more useful, but not a huge selling point of this Warbond. Everything else, though, is really good. And then coming in on our number 1 spot, which has been number 1 for pretty much the longest time, we have Democratic Detonation. The best Warbond in the game, giving you the most amount of value. It is really, really good. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. Once again, the armors aren't really anything too crazy. They have like engineering kit on them, with the exception of the last armor having fortified, which is good. Fortified heavy armor is really, really strong against bots. Not really the craziest against bugs and squids. And like engineering kit's decent. It's not like a crazy passive, but it's okay. In page 1, we also have like the thermite grenade, probably the best grenade or second best grenade in the game, depending on whether you want crowd control or single target damage. You get 3 of these, you stick it to basically anything, it blows up and will likely kill it. The only thing this can't really kill with the 1 grenade on it is like factory striders and the Hive Lord, and that's about it. Everything else you stick with a thermite, it will more than likely kill it. Sometimes like Titans and Chargers, at least the Behemoth Chargers, can shrug this off, but even then it's not really guaranteed. Like if you stick this to a Titan's face, it should kill it. We also have the Adjudicator, pretty solid battle rifle, honestly. Like the Adjudicator's pretty decent. It has good damage and has medium armor pen. 30 round magazine is kind of the only downside that people don't really like about this one. I don't find it to be that big of a deal. I think 30 rounds is okay. It would be cool if this could get a couple more magazines or something, or just an extended mag to take it to like 40 rounds. That would be kind of cool, but overall, it's a pretty decent rifle. We also have the Expert Extraction Pilot in page 2. Pretty bad booster overall. It's only really good if you're running like super sample missions or just sample missions in general, just so that you can complete the objective quickly, call this down, and then just get out of there fast. So you're pretty much just using this for kind of like speed runs. Other than that, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, unless like the bots have like the jamming thing that makes it so your Pelican comes in like 4 or 5 minutes. This does kind of cut it down at least somewhat. On regular missions, I don't think this one's necessary though. Page 2, we also have the Eruptor. Big old anti-tank rifle that has explosive rounds in it. Very fun, very strong right now. It's been changed quite a bit, but it's in a really good spot. Has heavy armor pen and explosive rounds on it. Does really high damage per shot. You will want to put a couple different modifications on this. Like I find the angled foregrip and the iron sights to be kind of the best. Or you could take like the peak physique armor, which makes it so it doesn't have as much drag. Otherwise, it's a little bit slow. And it does have a slow bolt action to it. But that's kind of okay given what this rifle is. It can also close up things too, which is fantastic. Then in page 3, we have the grenade pistol. One of the best secondaries in the game. It's really solid. It has pretty high damage on it, medium armor pen, and it can close up bug tunnels. You get a lot of shots for this too. It's really good if you just want to be closing up tunnels quickly. Like, the Ultimatum has more damage than something like this, but this one probably has more utility overall, since it's a lot safer to use, and you can use it to close up more things. So, like, grenade pistol is very solid. And then we also have the explosive crossbow. Again, probably one of the best primary weapons in the game. Has explosive damage, so it can close up things. It's one-handed, so you can use this with a shield too, which is really funny. And it has really high damage on it. Like, this one-shots a ton of stuff. And even if it doesn't one-shot things, you're still probably hurting it with the crossbow. Only really heavily armored things aren't going to be taking damage from the crossbow. Everything else is going to get staggered or take damage. And it can be really solid on basically every mission type. If you're going to take this, though, I would recommend a secondary that can deal with things if they get up close. because it is kind of annoying to have this on like bugs and not have a secondary that can deal with them. Taking something like the submachine gun or like the sawed-off shotgun can be pretty useful there. So this is where I'd place all the Warbonds. Again, don't feel bad if you picked one Warbond and maybe it's lower on this list. A lot of this is kind of vibes, and a lot of this is, well, all of this is my own opinion, so if you disagree with it, cool. Pick whatever you think is going to be the most fun and whatever you're going to have the most fun with. If you're brand new to the game, I would recommend Democratic Detonation or Dust Devils. Those are probably the best two for the total value. Unless you're playing solo a whole lot, and then I would say Control Group is like right up there too, because Control Group does give you the Warp Pack. Warp Pack allows you to farm super credits faster, which allows you to unlock other Warbonds faster. It's kind of nice for that, especially if there's a particular Warbond that you really want. Either way, tell me your thoughts on the Warbonds. Which ones are your favorite? Which ones are your least favorite? Which one are you looking forward to the most if you just barely got the game and you're trying to unlock stuff? Hopefully this helped you guys out. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.